Imagine you're at a coffee shop grabbing a simple $4 coffee. The order is quick, straightforward, just pick up and go. But then, the screen flips around asking for a 20% tip. You pause, thinking, what exactly am I tipping for? These days, tipping culture seems almost unavoidable. It's everywhere, from cafes to drive-thrus and even at self-serve counters. And if you've ever wondered why this is happening, you're not alone. But tipping didn't start out this way. It began with an entirely different purpose. Originally, tipping was meant to support workers who provided direct personal service. When the practice first took hold in America in the late 19th century, it was mainly seen among the wealthy who tipped their servants to show social status. As tipping practices spread beyond wealthy households, they became deeply embedded in the service industry, particularly affecting newly freed Black workers in roles like railroad porters and hotel attendants. After emancipation, many companies exploited this new labor force by paying newly freed Black workers little to no base wage, knowing they'd have no choice but to rely on customer tips to survive. For these workers, tips weren't just a bonus. They were essential income, filling the gap where companies refused to pay a fair wage. Now, fast forward to today, and ask yourself, does tipping still serve that purpose? Originally, tipping was a reward for hands-on, personal service in roles where workers devoted time and attention to customers. But now, tipping is expected even for quick, transactional interactions, like handing over a pre-made sandwich or pressing a button on a coffee machine. This change has led to what some call tip fatigue, as people feel pressured to tip even when the service is minimal. In fact, studies show that 72% of Americans feel tipping is expected in more places than ever. Yet the people who rely on it most, servers, aren't necessarily benefiting as they once did. The data shows that the percentage of people who always tip at sit-down restaurants dropped from 77% in 2019 to 73% by 2022. Meanwhile, digital payment systems have normalized tipping prompts at more and more businesses, from self-serve counters to retail stores, where tipping was once unheard of. So why this shift? Part of it is psychological. The moment a screen flips around and displays tip options, many people feel a sudden social pressure to tip, even when the service may not truly warrant it. This phenomenon, sometimes called tip guilt, has become a powerful tool for businesses looking to increase revenue without raising base wages. And while these tipping prompts may increase the income for some employees, it's worth asking, who is truly benefiting from this shift? In many cases, these new tipped workers already make the federal minimum wage or higher, unlike traditional servers who are often paid a base rate of just $2.13 an hour. This stark difference raises the question, is tipping still about helping workers make a living, or has it simply become an expected part of every transaction? And here's another angle. Tipping culture hasn't only evolved for consumers, it's changed the way businesses operate too. By relying on customers to make up for low wages, companies can reduce their labor costs while still benefiting from a tipped workforce. This shift, however, creates a fragile, unpredictable income for workers who rely heavily on tips to reach a livable wage, particularly in roles with fluctuating hours and low base pay. With tipping practices spreading elsewhere, traditional servers are left feeling the strain of an economy where their income is anything but guaranteed. So when you're faced with a tipping prompt today, it's worth considering. Is this tip supporting someone who depends on it, or is it just padding the bill? This evolution of tipping, from an essential income for service workers to a near-universal add-on, makes us wonder if tipping is losing its true meaning. And as tipping culture continues to spread, let's ask ourselves, is it still about rewarding genuine service, or are we just following prompts?